Welcome back to Kaulignation, your one-stop shop for all things Kaulig Racing, Dingernation, SVGNation, and all things NASCAR. I'm Sean. Thank you for taking a few minutes out of your day to sit down and talk some NASCAR with us. In this video, we're going to be talking about Ram making an announcement with a surprise team, aka an unannounced team, this Saturday, Daytona weekend. We're going to tell you where that announcement is going to take place and why it's a big giveaway as to who that team is. Trackhouse makes massive changes, massive organizational changes, which is somewhat surprising. And we did have other topics we were gonna talk about, but we'll stick to this for now. This is actually attempt number 3 at recording today's video. I can honestly say, we run a channel away from the NASCAR side of things, and that's been a crazy day over there with a video game being announced, and then all the news today with the Trackhouse situation and Chris Rice's interview this morning, and then Ram announcing they're going to make an announcement this weekend. It's been nuts. I can honestly say this is the craziest content creation day of my life while feeling like absolute crap. So drop a like, might help me feel better. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. It would be appreciated. Our multiple choice question for this video is, with Honda being rumored as eyeing a entry in the NASCAR Cup Series in a few years, how would you feel about SVG driving a Honda in the NASCAR Cup Series? And why do we say that? Adam Stern linked Trackhouse Racing to Honda, and we heard that Trackhouse had gotten an increase in support from Chevrolet, aka an influx of cash to keep them there for a few more years, which bides their time. We'd heard they were in discussions with Dodge before. And the Honda thing makes sense from Trackhouse because outside of NASCAR, all of their racing ventures are done through Honda. So how would you feel about SVG driving a Honda in NASCAR? Comment down below. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Yes or no? Share your thoughts. We would love to hear from you. Let's dive into this. This morning, Chris Rice, and this is from a tweet that we put out, or a post, whatever you call the X thing now. Kaulig president Chris Rice was on SiriusXM this morning discussing a variety of things with Mike Bagley, Pete Pistone, and the fellas asked him at the end, "You mentioned maybe having some news on 2026 this weekend." Chris replied, "Hopefully we will have some announcements and driver announcements and things like that. I've been very upfront about talking about Ty. I'm going to be talking to RC today." RC is Richard Childress. Hopefully we can still talk about that this weekend. Super excited where Kaulig is going. Really looking forward to what the next decade looks like and what next year looks like. We added on then, can't help but feel that was a subtle hint at all the talk about Kaulig Racing and Ram and Stellantis and Dodge that's been going on amongst all parties that cover NASCAR, as well as Ty Dillon's future. You draw the conclusion. We were very unsure of how to approach this because we weren't sure, it was not nearly as adamant as last week, but there were a few things in there that really stood out to us. The really looking forward to what the next decade looks like and next year looks like. Let's break that down. Why is that important? Well, when a new OEM comes in the sport and you're looking to align with said OEM, you're not doing that for a year or 2 years or even 3 years. That is a long-term commitment to the future of your organization in any sport. Now, does it mean that they'll be with Ram or Dodge for 10 years if it happens? Not necessarily, but he's definitely hinting at big picture stuff, and more specifically in the forefront with 2026, Ram will be in trucks because we know, regardless if it's Kaulig or any other team going racing with Dodge and Cup, that can't happen before 2027. He also mentioned about not being held down, or Kaulig Racing won't be held down by others, and then he went and mentioned not being held down again on his own personal social media as if he was passive aggressively sending a message to someone. It was all real weird, to be honest. Ryan and I were really conflicted what to make of it. We spoke with a source that we use at the channel, said, "Are we reading too much into this? Are we grasping at straws?" And he replied back, and I quote, "You're not grasping at straws. This is happening, Kaulig and Ram." He then added in, "Don't be surprised if Kaulig's truck drivers are already with the organization, aka Christian Eckes and Daniel Dye." Let's fast forward to the media release about Ram making an announcement this weekend at Daytona. They will not be making that announcement at Daytona International Speedway. They will be making that announcement at a Ram lot not far from Daytona International Speedway. And why is that significant? The Ram lot they're making the announcement at is the Ram lot owned by Daniel Dye's father, Randy Dye. Why is that significant? Daniel Dye is the driver of the number 10 Kaulig Racing Xfinity Chevrolet at the moment. You connect the dots. Daniel Dye's contract with Kaulig was not a one-year deal. It was a long-term deal. Chris Rice a couple weeks ago mentioned how Christian Eckes is on a long-term deal. They're trying to get Ty Dillon locked up. AJ's on a long-term deal. But he made no mention of Daniel Dye whatsoever. And now that feels quite intentional. Now, there's always the possibility that Daniel Dye is in the same position as Chandler Smith. He's going to do something with some truck organization, and it's not Kaulig Racing. And we're talking about a truly disastrous situation where Kaulig doesn't even get the Ram deal, and you get Chandler Smith 2.0. That would be horrible for this team and not a good look. And I get it. Daniel Dye is not a superstar prospect, but he's a solid young driver who brings funding. You can't tell me that Ram doing the announcement at his father's lot is not connecting the dots to Kaulig. It's just, there's far too many people on this. Breakhard, Eric Estep, Adam Stern, so many others. Like, there's just so many people. Freddie Kraft, Bob Pockras, you name it. Everyone's been linking Kaulig to Ram. No one definitively saying it's happening, but that it sounds like it might. I would say that the hammer has been thrown down today, and there's about a 99% chance that this thing happens, or a 1% utter chaos happens, and you're going to have me on this channel having some not so friendly rants. The other thing that happened today inside Trackhouse Racing is confirmed changes at Team Trackhouse today. Tony Lunders, Chief Operating Officer, and Gary Putman, Director of Shop Floor Operations, have been officially released by the team. Now, I know there's some people that get frustrated with, Trackhouse's performance on track, that want SVG to have the best. Trackhouse isn't Hendrick, and they're not Joe Gibbs, and they're not Penske, but they might be that fourth team in line or the fifth team in line out of all of NASCAR, and that's still solid. And to make changes of this level of significance shows their desire to win, their strive to be better, their unwillingness to accept a glass ceiling, to always keep punching higher, to strive for more. That's been my whole argument with the Kaulig thing. Don't stay in the Chevy camp. You're never going to be more than fifth on the pecking order there. And if you're willing to accept that, you're accepting mediocrity, you're accepting the glass ceiling, and you're accepting the fact that you're never going to be better than that. Comment down below on all of these developments that are quite wild. We'll have more in a future video. Again, would you like to see SVG in a Honda? It might happen. Like, comment, subscribe. Big shout out to our channel sponsors, Lynn over at SVGNation on Facebook, Alex over at Dingernation on Facebook. Big thank you to our patrons. For bonus content, check out patreon.com/Kaulignation. Link is in the description below, and we will see each and every one of you in the next video.